This situation exists even after, according to records, government has spent over 2.7 trillion naira in the sector over a period of 16 years. This doesn't come as a surprise to the chairman of Egmi Power Company.
What I would love always to see when I hear figures and numbers being thrown out is to see what precisely those figures were meant to provide. When I see that, it's easier for me to now do it for the purpose of evaluation. But I give you this simple analogy. The universal principle of generation of electricity, generation side, please underline generation, it's $1 million per megawatt. Now, if peradventure a nation is to develop its own electricity using public fund, and you are deploying, say, 500,000 to generate the same quantum of electricity, you won't get there. Now, the longer it takes you to provide that capital that is required to get 1 megawatt, the more expensive it becomes.
Apart from the issue of cost, DISCOs say they have been faced with the issue of power theft. This is a situation where consumers have attempted and in many instances succeeded in bypassing connections to enjoy electricity supply or not paying for it.
If you start to understand what it means, it's you know, I hear about the crazy billing, estimated billing, all these issues. It's accounting. What goes in comes out. So if I go in here with $1 million naira worth of power, I'm expecting 1 million naira on the back end to be paid. So whenever if I see a clear collection issue, that's even okay. That means there's an acknowledgement that it's been used, and it's a matter of getting my money back. But if it disappears, it never disappears. You know, like the Jambo Office 36 million snake. You know, we don't have a snake that can disappear, right? So if it goes in there and doesn't come out on the back end, someone's going to pay for it. And that's where we start to have issues, where people are getting high bills, higher than they expect, because somebody else is just not paying for theirs. So, you know, we had a popular nightclub in the Victoria Island area, you know, where my concern was, you know, there's a few things we had. A common decency was one of the platforms. We wanted to ensure that the world realized that a co-distribution staff, whenever they're at their duties, are not to be manhandled in any way. They're not to be touched. They're not to be, I don't see too many people beat up tax officials when they stop by their offices. I think people should understand that that's how a code should be seen going forward. We will not condone it. We've persecuted where people have injured or molested our staff. They're just going about their normal Nigerians, unarmed mostly, going about their daily duties like any of those people. You know, we told, you know, so in this particular case, the call I got first was because I would know firsthand if anybody is manhandled in my organization. So today, they went in there just for a normal audit. We're doing a lot of those now, so the general public should also be aware. Went for an audit, realized that there was a clear case of a bypass. Wanted to understand more what was going on there, and my staff was how do you put it? I don't want to use the word kidnapped, but my staff was detained, to be nice, unlawfully in their premises. Proceeded to try to manhandle him, and then in trying to now find that out, everything now opens up to something bigger. So we had a major case of energy theft. We did a load inventory as early as yesterday to go and check the load on this particular line that was bypassed. Found out that it was significant, I mean, in the millions. We talk about our ATC&T losses, you know, we talk about, you know, the technical, commercial, and you talk about the collection losses. At the end of the day, some you can control, some you can't. The business efficiencies will allow the business to respond. I mean, it's the liquidity of the business at the end of the day. When we talk about, to paint the picture very clearly, when you take majority of the power, or this power is stolen, and what happens is in simple terms, someone else pays for it. So what happens to the whole system is that the efficiency is not there. The distribution company is not able to then service their own customers or their customer base well. That means that they're not able to go back and get the revenues that are applicable to that particular area, reinvest in that particular area, ensure that they're able to respond from a customer care, ensure that they're able to do operations and maintenance, ensure that it continues to be more effective. Just like you see in other parts of the world that Nigerians are, we're all very quick to compare this system to. So in comparing our expectations or outcomes, we should also be willing to compare the behaviors that lead to those expectations. So, I mean, in those other systems that we're comparing to.
With all these issues to tackle, there seems a need for more interaction between the discourse and consumers on issues expected to boost efficiency of the sector for the development of the economy.
We now have more and more customer forums where we discuss these issues. In fact, in EcoDisco, where I'm a director, we just came up with a timetable where we're going to be visiting each of our districts and have town hall meetings with them so that firsthand we too come to understand the problems of the consumers and whatever we can do to deal with it. I agree entirely with you. Customer education is one of the key things. And you must also understand part of our dilemma. When we came in, we inherited a workforce that was not primarily ours. And most of them have been paid off. So many of them didn't have the incentive to keep working. So forcing old habits or replacing old habits with market-driven habits has been a challenge for many of us. And then introducing new blood too into an old system takes a little bit of doing to get it right. So we're managing labor issues around the workforce and all whatnot. But we're doing it steadily because we can't afford a labor crisis, because anytime there's a crisis and people don't get power for 1, 2, 3 days, nobody wants to know, because the inconvenience of not getting power. If we all subscribe as a country to this notion, this correct notion, that power is the way out of this quagmire, the more we can achieve better and quicker results. But if we have people who are resisting changing old habits and raising more questions than finding solutions and all that, we will just be roaming around in a cage. Look, the government has announced that we want to build massive rail links between Lagos, Kano, Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, Kaduna. And where do you think all these things will rest on? Isn't it power? It's on power. So the government is in a hurry to industrialize. The government is in a hurry to create the enabling environment for business. But the very fulcrum upon which all these things rest is power.
Look at the whole chain of power in itself. You start from the feedstock, which is the supply of to the generators. So if you take thermal as an example, where you have gas as a simple issue, then what makes 24 hours, 7 days a week power would then start to become ensuring that there's 100% efficiency from the back end of this power chain all the way to the supply to an individual's house, residence or business. So you would start with gas. Do we have gas availability 100% of the time? Do we have enough gas, and where we want it for that particular example? The generation company, are they being not just incentivized, but do they have enough in terms of a proper business model, right tariff model? Is the business set up or well enough to be able to ensure that they're also able to generate at the right levels? When they finish generating, is TCN, the losses and everything we see, are they also all set up? So again, TCN would have to work well, the distribution companies would have to work well, everything would have to work well in a totally efficient system for you to then be delivered with 24/7 power like you just asked for at the back end.
In the case of power, the suppliers are also the consumers, so everyone is concerned, and it's everyone's business that power works. Talk to us on Big Story. I'm Imi John Mekwa.